Dude, we're gonna have so much fun going over this video today, you guys, because I just got done reading the article that I wrote in 2015, and I was laughing my butt off because it's just, I mean, the title, 7 Muscle Building Mistakes Natural Lifters Make. First of all, I still agree with about 90 to 95% of what was said in this article, even though I wrote it back on February 12th, 2015. But after reading it, it was bringing back memories because this was around the time that like the fake natties were coming out of the woodworks. They were telling you stupid things like if it fits your macros. They were telling you to eat Pop-Tarts and stay shredded, right? All that dumb shit that was coming out from all these guys that were juicing their balls off but telling you they were natural. And so it's that as I'm reading this article, and you guys will see, like, I make it very clear that I'm pissed off if you kind of read between the lines. But we're going to have some fun today. We're going to go over this article. I'm going to post the link to it directly down in the info section below, as well as my pinned comment. And it did really well. I mean, these articles hold up really well over time, which is why I want to share them with you now. We have a lot of new subscribers. I mean, this one has about 36,000 views. And then in case you're wondering, yes, there is a video that goes with it, and that's this one right here. So you can either hang out with me, go over this, and then watch that video later if you want to, or just check out the article. But, you know, the main reason why this video was made to begin with is because there's a lot of misinformation. Even in 2015, there was a lot of misinformation out there. Now it's worse than ever. And this is just to kind of keep you on track, because if you are a natural lifter, especially in today's society, and you're on TikTok and you're on Instagram and you're looking at shorts and reels and all these things, and you're seeing all these guys blow up and they're shredded all the time and they're constantly changing their workout and they're showing their diets, and you can tell their diet's crap, but they say it still works. It's usually because they're lying to you. So hopefully these tips will put you on the right track to stay true to yourself and stay motivated, because that's what really irked me the most coming up, was just people who would lose motivation because they were taking advice from someone who just had no idea what they were talking about, and we're just juicing for views on social media. So that's where this came from. Still a sore subject, I guess, for me now, but hey, whatever, let's just dive right in. So, you know, and I say right here, the journey to accomplishing your goals is already hard enough without having trials and or it already has enough trials and hardships without having to deal with the misinformation being taught online. So pay close attention. And look at that, the old hashtags, HTH, Herman Heights Train Harder, SHF Athlete, Project Gains. Good memories, guys. Good memories. So let's just dive right in. Number 1, eating too much. Natural lifters think that in off season, when you're supposed to be bulking, you need to eat all kinds of food, including junk food, to gain a lot of muscle. The more fat you pack on, the better. It doesn't work like that. And this is something that was like really popular back then, and you still kind of hear it now. Not as much. Like, I don't really hear this as much in the gym, because most of the high school kids in my gym are on SARMs and whatever else they can get their hands on. They're not really thinking this way. Again, that's a whole other conversation, but back in the day, it was always said like, hey, if you want to get big, you have to eat a lot and you have to pack on a lot of fat and then just lose the fat later to bring the muscle out. And you don't have to do that. In fact, a lot of you, if you do this, you'll have a harder time probably taking that fat off later, and new fat cells that get created, they just don't go away. And so don't put yourself in that situation. In fact, if you're trying to build muscle, the best thing to do is to figure out what your maintenance calories are. And you can figure out all of that on my meal planner right here. I have a free calculator. And then try to eat like 250 to 500 calories over maintenance. And understand some very important things as a natural athlete. And I talk about it right here. And understand how much muscle you're really going to gain throughout your fitness journey, right? So in your first year of training, that means your meal plan is great, your workout's great, you're sleeping enough, you're drinking enough water. In your first year, you'll gain like 20, 25 pounds of muscle, okay? That's kind of like the max limit of how much muscle you'll gain. The year after that, you have diminishing returns, so it's more like 12 to 15. Your third year in, 6 to 8. And then your fourth year, maybe around 4, and every year after that, like, it's just going to diminish even more. So like 2 to 4, 1 to 2, right? And it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's just, as a natural athlete, you have a limit. Understand that when you take steroids, you mutate your cells so they can hold more mass, which is why you'll get bigger and look different. That's why when someone says, oh, I've been natural for the last 6 months. No, you're not natural. You took gear, your cells are mutated. You will never, ever, ever, ever again be natural. Period. You busted that cherry. You have now left the natty realm and you are in some other realm with everybody else who thinks they're so natural, but they're really not because they jumped on gear. So, watching this video and you're wondering why, hey, I've been training my butt off. I look phenomenal. I'm getting stronger, but I'm not getting much bigger. You could be close to your natural limit. And I'll tell you a little secret. There's nothing wrong with being at your natural limit. Try maintaining that for the next 15 to 20 years. That's the hard part. That's the part that I used to get a lot of crap for back in the day because people would say things like, oh my gosh, Scott, you still look the same. You haven't grown in 6 years. Well, I'm about to be 40 years old this year, and I still look phenomenal, and I still maintain my mass that I've had. I'm still athletic. I can still go do a Tough Mudder or a Spartan race. I feel great. I don't look like I've aged much, right? Because juice ages you. So, like, maintaining what you've spent a lifetime building is not a bad thing, guys. That's a badge of honor you should wear on your chest everywhere you go, right? So, we're getting a little off topic here, but yeah, eating too much food. Don't just start shoving calories down your throat, okay? Because another thing, if you are a natural athlete, when it comes time to cut, if you've gained all this fat, if you're on gear, it doesn't matter because you're going to take gear. It's going to help you shred all that fat to begin with. As a natural athlete, you don't need to go down that road. Just make lean gains, 250 to 500 calories over your maintenance, and you should be good to go. So let's move on to the next one. And I talk down here a bit more about it's also important for you to know that extra fat, especially belly fat, affects insulin sensitivity, thyroid hormone function, and testosterone levels. And I have a video all about that right here too. You guys can check. Number 2, having unrealistic expectations. And this is something that can really kill your gains in the gym because you're going to psych yourself out if you have unrealistic expectations, right? And unrealistic expectations can come from a lot of, actually right here, I get comments all the time. Scott, how come you haven't grown like so-and-so? Why have you been the same size forever? You've been lifting so long, you should be bigger. It's like, no, it's not how it works, guys, but thanks for coming out. You guys have to understand what's possible. There's always pushing yourself to the limit and beyond. And there's a lot of you out there who have done some pretty insane things with your body in terms of muscle growth, muscle definition, how strong you are, how flexible you are, right? Like there's always ways to break past the limits of what's possible, like naturally, right? Through hardcore work and dedication and training. Some of you will break through those limits, but it is important to have expectations that are realistic, and a lot of that is going to stem from right here. Understanding how much muscle you're going to build over the course of the next 4 to 5 years from hardcore training. Don't get me wrong, guys. Like, this is still like almost 40, 50 pounds of muscle on your frame. You're going to look phenomenal if you're able to do this, right? Like, this isn't easy. It's not like, oh yeah, in your first year of lifting, you'll gain 20, 25 pounds of muscle and it just happens. Like, no, you got to work your ass off to get that. So this is good. This should be like, again, this is the badge of honor that you should wear on your chest and let people know that you earned it. But yeah, unrealistic expectations will set you back all the time. And unfortunately, this is rampant now because a lot of the information that you're getting online and the people that you're seeing provide this information say they're natural, but they're not. And then they're giving you their workout plans. Like, I forget the kid's name, but he had like some 2-hour arm workout that he used to promote. And I'm just like, doesn't matter if you train your arms for 2 hours, 3, 4, 5 hours. At a certain point, you have diminishing returns, especially as a natural athlete, right? So make sure that you're doing a bit of your own research to ensure that the advice you're getting is coming from someone who knows what they're talking about. And you can be on gear and know what you're talking about. That's not what I'm trying to say here. Just make sure that the information you're getting is coming from someone who is a reputable source, I guess is all I'm trying to say. Don't have unrealistic expectations for yourself because when you don't reach them, you'll give up, and that's the worst thing that could happen. Number 3, thinking heavyweight and low reps are the only way to gain muscle. And I've talked about this in previous videos, guys, where there's actually 3 muscle building mechanisms. We used to always be taught growing up, especially for me, the only way to get big is to lift big. And there is a degree of truth to that, right? You do need to be challenging yourself. You do need to be lifting heavy weights. We call that mechanical tension. But you can still build muscle using the other two muscle building mechanisms, which is muscle damage and metabolic stress, which is a fun way of saying muscle damage, obviously lifting heavy, breaking down the muscle. Metabolic stress has more to do with like shorter rest periods, incorporating supersets, just another way to fatigue the muscle. And I like to do workouts that incorporate all three mechanisms, which is why I do my drop sets. For those of you who have ever followed my 5-day bodybuilding split rate here, I use drop sets almost on every single exercise because it hits all three muscle building mechanisms. If you've never done a drop set before, on every set and every exercise, give it a shot today. You'll be pleasantly surprised with the outcome, and you'll see just how quickly your muscle endurance probably garbage. But the cool thing is, after a week or two of doing it, your strength goes through the roof. But again, that's a video for another day. So in this number 3, I talk a lot about, those three mechanisms and how to utilize them in training for your body type 2. So number 4, not doing full range of motion. And I talk about this all the time. Even to this day in my gym, at least once a week, I walk over and I help somebody out with their full range of motion. Most of the time, it's younger guys, right? Because younger guys are just starting to get into the gym and learn all this stuff. And the range of motion where I see, guys skipping out the most on, like even actually yesterday in the gym, there was somebody doing a dumbbell shoulder press and they were stopping at 90 degrees and going back up because they're trying to go too heavy. And I told them, I was like, bro, from here to here, you will always be weak because you're not training in that range of motion. The reason why you can't go from here to here when doing your shoulder press, your form is wrong. And then I showed him how to fix his form, and what's going to happen? He's going to get stronger overall, and he's going to have more pressing power, and doing a shoulder press, right? One of the main benefits of doing a shoulder press, whether you're using dumbbells or a barbell, is it's going to actually help your bench press, but not if you're pressing from here to there. Because when you're bench pressing, you're benching off your chest, right? You're bringing the bar all the way down to your chest. Well, same thing for a shoulder press. You want to bring it all the way down to your chest, to the top, press up to help strengthen your shoulders and your triceps, and that will transition over to your bench press, especially your incline press. So full range of motion, any range of motion you do not train in, you will always be weak in. Also, if you're juicing, it doesn't really matter. You're going to see growth if you do nothing, right? Like you literally can juice and not go to the gym and you will see muscle growth. There's studies on this. And so when you do go to the gym and you're doing half reps on everything and you're kind of bullshitting your way through the reason why you're doing it, which is mainly just because you want to lift heavier, let's be honest, right? That muscle stimulation is all your body needs to grow even more because the juice is doing a lot of the work too. Don't get me wrong, you still got to train hard when you're on gear, but when you're doing half reps and things like that, as a non-natural athlete, you're still going to see significant gains. When you're a 100% natural athlete, if you're not doing full range of motion, you're really hurting yourself and you're leaving gains on the table. Also, it's good for flexibility and mobility to make sure that you can work through different ranges, right? For example, the shoulder press thing. So, let's say in the future, I don't know, a heavy ass bookshelf falls on me. Maybe I'm like in the library during an Indiana Jones movie when he's escaping from criminals. That bookshelf falls on my head. As long as I catch it here, I can press it up. But if I catch it here, I'm screwed because I've never trained in that range of motion. So I train for like real life functionality too. And I don't want to be caught under a bookshelf, I guess. Number 5, following advice from athletes that are on enhancing. We already kind of talked about this. There's a lot of guys out there that are just trying to make content for likes and attention, especially nowadays. So understand that, it's good for motivation, right? Like if you just want to watch people work out and not even really listen to their advice, I mean, it is motivating to see somebody who's in phenomenal shape and looks great just exercise. Like it is motivating. I will agree with that 100%. But whether or not you're taking their advice and whether or not everything they're saying is factual, that's something that you're going to have to determine on your own. And the only way you can determine that is by fact checking or doing some of your own research. And so I was going through these lists out here. I was just laughing my butt off. Some clues to watch out for. Are they articulate? Are they entertaining you and actually giving you solid information? Do they have experience? Have they actually trained people before? That's a big one. You should really focus on that. Do they read? Do they even know how to read? Are they getting information from research or just babbling for 15 minutes giving you their opinion? That's actually another one. Now, granted, opinions are formed from experience, right? We know this, but we now live in a day and age where anybody with a phone has an opinion and then wants to put that opinion online for everyone to read, whether it's factual or not. So, like, you're gonna have to start doing some of your own research and fact checking some things before taking it to heart, especially when it comes to your health and your body and your fitness journey, because the last thing you want to do is waste time. I mean, shit, even if you don't believe the things I'm saying in this video, just, Google that real quick and figure it out for yourself. Learning more, there's nothing wrong with learning more, guys, and educating yourselves. Number 6, not switching up your workout. So this is one where I still agree with it, but not to as much as I don't agree 100% with everything I said here. And so I said at the top, I see this all the time, day in and day out. People are doing the same exact routine they've been doing forever, especially my buddies at the gym, blah, blah, blah. And then I say, like, you should switch up your workout, every 6 weeks or so. You don't really have to do that, right? Like, with a steady progression, increasing your weights, shortening your rest periods, including supersets, switching up the order of your workouts, right? You can switch up the same workout many different ways and stick with that. So, for example, like, I love doing my 5-day split, and it's what I've been doing pretty much forever. And I was able to really max out my natural potential doing that because I would have weeks where I would incorporate cheat reps. I would have weeks where I would do supersets. Most of the time, I am doing my drop sets. Sometimes I'd switch it up, and instead of doing reps of 8 to 10, I would go 4 to 6 and try to lift a little bit heavier. So there are ways to take the same workout and switch up like the rep ranges and the techniques that you used. So you don't have to change your entire program every 6 weeks or anything like that, but you do need to challenge yourself and try different things. And it's mainly kind of like tapping into those 3 muscle building mechanisms a bit more, right? So, for example, when I'm lowering my reps to like 4 to 6 per set, I'm tapping more into like the mechanical tension muscle building mechanism. If I'm shortening my rest periods and I'm including supersets or drop sets, things like that, pyramid sets, that's tapping more into, well, both are tapping into muscle damage. That's tapping more into the metabolic stress muscle building mechanism, right? So it's a combination of all 3 of those that you can kind of rotate just by using different workout techniques. And again, the only way you really learn those techniques is by trying different programs, I guess, and finding out what works best for you. So, like, for example, if you've never tried cheat reps before, this program right here, my Cheat and Recover program, is probably one of my most intense programs I ever created. And I show you guys how to cheat on your reps with good form so you don't hurt yourself, so that you can kind of push yourself past your natural limit a little bit in terms of strength, and really focus on the eccentric part of the exercises. So if you didn't know this, you're like 40% stronger during the negative part of a movement compared to the positive, or the eccentric compared to the concentric. A great example of this would be like when you're bench pressing and you know that you cannot bench anymore, and you're holding the bar above your head, and you're like, if this comes down, it will not go back up. But you do know that you can still bring that weight down and control it, even if you know you can't press it back up. That's because you're stronger in the eccentric phase of the movement. And so in Cheat and Recover, I show you how to maximize that on every exercise. It's actually a really good program. And number 7, this is the final one here, guys. Not paying attention to details. And I guess this is kind of just a summary of everything we've talked about. For us natural lifters, every detail matters if you want to achieve maximum growth. Maybe if you are on enhancing drugs, you can get away with more. But as a natural athlete, if you want to grow as much as possible, here are some things you need to pay attention to. And I kind of just go over a lot of the things that I've already talked about. food being one of them, right? You have to make sure that you're eating correctly. Just because you're eating more doesn't necessarily mean that you're eating more of the right things. And this is also why, if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to just eat less. Because if you're just eating less, you're cutting out all sorts of vitamins and minerals you might need depending on the foods that you're selecting, right? And if you're eating more, well, maybe you should be eating more fats and protein, but all you're doing is loading up on carbs from like candies and sweets because you just thought, eat whatever I want, I'm bulking anyways. And it's like, no, don't want to load up on junk. You want to load up on good food. And so if you do have a hard time with your meal plan, click this link right here or just go to my meal planner. You can try it for free, and you can try all my programs for free, by the way, just by signing up to the website. And it'll show you how to build a meal plan around your goals, and it'll help you select the right foods as well. So overall, I would say the video and the information still holds up pretty well today. And guys, if you're trying to reach goals, you want to make sure you have a clear path to get there. So even if you are getting a lot of your information from TikTok videos or YouTubes or Instagram Reels, right? Maybe some of you are still on Facebook getting information there too. It's okay to close that app, go to Google, and do a little research on your own just to make sure you're not wasting your own time. Because at the end of the day, the only person's goals that should really matter is your own. That's why you're here. It takes so much effort just to get to the gym and work out that while you're there, you want to make sure you're not wasting your time. Even the gym I go to, when I see somebody come in and I can tell it's their first time there and I see them doing different exercises and things like that and their form is off, I don't like take out my phone and videotape them and talk shit about them, right? Which is really popular nowadays. Go over and I help them. If you're willing to put your foot through the door to show up at the gym, that means you're trying to learn and better yourself. And that's what I recognize. And that's why I make my videos. And that's why I'm always trying to help educate in the club as well. So make sure you guys subscribe. Thanks for watching. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.